Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Empire Interpreting's YouTube page and the latest installment of our Ask Empire series. This question comes from a consumer who works at a university and for the first time was setting up a platform performance via Empire Interpreting. So the typical appointment, let's say at a doctor's office or something like that, the information that we need is relatively minimal. We need obviously the when, where, how long, name of consumer, things like that. But those can, be pretty quick and right up front. But when you're dealing with whether it be a concert or a lecture, Q&A session, things like that, there's a little bit more that we need to know. So they having not done this before, asked for a list. And we thought, well, other people would probably really like to use that list. And if they have worked with us before, it might be useful to have it as a reminder for this question. So here we go. Because we do both virtual and on-site platform performances, there are a couple of unique pieces of information that we might need in each, but the majority of these things overlap. And I should specify what I'm talking about is at least from the perspective of the sign language department. A lot of these overlap with the spoken language department, but those have some unique things they need as well. But because we've been doing so much platform on the sign language side of things, we thought we would make this as specific to that particular side of the business as possible. So the number one thing that we're always going to ask for is as much prep material as possible. So if somebody is making a speech or if there is a link to an event, if there is an outline of what's going to be had, or if anybody is presenting and has a PowerPoint, slides, any and everything that you can get to us as early as possible is fantastic because our interpreters are going to be using that ahead of time to make sure they understand what's going on and in real time often as a way to reference what's going on. Now, we understand that quite often speeches don't become available until the day before or that there are going to be tweaks throughout, and we're not expecting you to send us 14 updates to basically the same speech. But if you get a general outline or a basic premise of what prep material is going to be, if you can get that to us, that's fantastic. And then if there is a major overhaul, of course, we would want to have that as well, that information as well to pass along to the interpreters. The second thing that we're going to need is an on-site point of contact. Now, this relates both to virtual and on-site, but is especially important for on-site because there are situations where interpreters will, let's say they get parked and now they go to the room and there's nobody there. Well, they need to get a hold of somebody right away. And especially if this is after hours, they're not going to be able to call our office at 9:30 on a Saturday because we're not going to be here, but we need that on-site name and cell phone number and things like that. Or if they happen to get there and they find they don't know where to go in the section, something's been changed. Things are always getting changed without our knowledge, and it's nobody's fault. There's just a lot of moving pieces, so we have to have that on-site point of contact. The next thing that we're always going to ask for is if you know for sure there's going to be anybody deaf in the audience. If you have access to their names, we always like to have their names because if there's a good fit or a bad fit that we have in our system, we want to make sure that we're sending the appropriate interpreters. Likewise, if there's a deaf individual who's going to be presenting, that's critical that we know because oftentimes that linguistic fit is even more crucial because the interpreters will be doing voicing, which is not the same as just straight interpreting. So I won't get into the details of how those are different, but just know for now, we're going to want to know who and what role they're playing, whether it's audience or presenter. The next thing that we're always going to ask for if this is a on-site is parking information. We do not want the interpreters to be late. And if this is a graduation or a concert or something like that, we know that it can be incredibly difficult to get to the location that they need to get to. So if there's any way to organize or provide parking near the venue, that's always appreciated and we'll ask for that. If not, whatever suggestions you have of where they should go, we're always going to ask for that as well. The sort of virtual version of that is login information. So many of our virtual platform events are not open to the public. It's not like you can just jump on Zoom. And besides, typically have it set up so that the interpreter is essentially looks like a presenter so that anybody logging in can see them. So we'll need detailed login information for the interpreters before the event. So those are the things that we're always going to ask for. Again, that's prep material, on-site point of contact, parking and or login information. If there's any other questions you guys have, it's been a while since we've been able to crank out a bunch of these videos because it has been absolutely insane here. But please keep them coming. We'll be back to updating now because life has gotten a little less crazy here in the office. But thank you guys. We'll be back next week with another one. And until then, have a great week.